was happening is I set to auto record because of the 1 or 2 times that I forgot to record. So anyway, I have someone looking at a blank screen and I'm like going, what are they doing? And why are they on an hour early? But maybe because of time zones and things like that, it was happening. So anyway, all right, well, I just hit record, Maria. So let's get after it.
Let's get after it. That works.
Okay, so do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Well, we talked about some things that we wanted to talk about with all of you tonight. I threw together a few things on some slides. I don't know if you want to if you want to share with me right away, we can get into just some basic stuff.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm going to make you host. Okay, go for it.
Okay. Let's go to here, share. Okay, let me move this up though so that everybody can see it. So there's just a lot of interesting things that people have asked us. One of them is, why did you name your website ATP? Well, ATP stands for cellular energy, and you can memorize I can't even say it, adenosine triphosphate. You can memorize that if you want, or you can just say, it means the energy in the cell. And since we couldn't put Healy in the name because Healy won't let us do that, and I had just spent a weekend with my 2.5-year-old grandson doing ABC 1, 2, 3, ATP 1, 2, 3 sounded good. So that's what we did. And GoDaddy really liked our name. So we thought that was pretty impressive. So Chris and I decided ATP 1, 2, 3 stands for cellular energy. But this website is for you. And many people have gone to it. We've gotten some really nice comments about it. I know that there's some changes that need to be made. We're consistently doing that. We would love your feedback because this is your site. We want to be able to not only duplicate ourselves in you, but have you, when you bring people on and you're building your business, you have a resource that you're duplicatable so that you don't have tons of emails and questions that you're answering throughout the day and the week and into the hours of the night, like Gwen and I are. So this website is really for you. So any changes that you'd like to see or additions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and say, hey, can you put this on because this is a great video, and then we can decide where it can go. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with the ATP is please use it, please share it, make sure all your downline has it, put it in an email and say, hey, here's a great resource, you can find anything here. It's got continuing training, it's a way for you to duplicate yourself, and then it's got business information on there as well. If you just received your Healy or you have someone that did, we have this on the front page. So this is what the front page looks like when you go to it. And if you just received your Healy, you click here, and then it takes you to all of the stuff that you need to know basically how to get started. Now, this isn't anything that Gwen has done. She has her own corner on a different page. She doesn't even know this yet. She has her own page on her website or her own corner. But this is basic information that you can send people to. So like I have a whole bunch of people in Casper, Wyoming tonight getting ready for their, to get all of their Healys up and running tonight. I'm hoping that the resonance gods are with them while they're trying to set up their Blue Dot apps. Hopefully they're not too glitchy tonight, but this is one of the pages that I sent them so that they could just have a resource to start with.
Hey,
Okay.
Maria, I'm used to being in the corner, so it's okay that you put me in the corner.
Well, here's your corner. And so how you get to this is if you go back, I'm going to go back here. If you come up here to your business and you do the drop-down menu and you click on video training, then you will find at the bottom of that page, I know that there's some that are missing here because I know she's done a whole bunch of presentation calls, but before this Zoom, I just couldn't find all of them. This is her latest one though, that doesn't include the Q&A at the tail end. And I'm gonna include those videos on here because some of the, I mean, I've been on a couple of those calls and just listened, and Gwen is amazing at answering questions in just a really easy, simple way. And it's questions that all of us have had from time to time. The big thing that we're seeing with people though is people don't take the time to watch videos. And I think that's what I really want to encourage everybody on the call tonight is just taking, even just a couple hours out of your week and go listen to these. You can put them on. What I do is I put the speed setting in the little gear section on my video. If you can set it to like double the speed. Gwen talks really fast, but it's okay because you can get through the video faster and you can find the information that you need. So anytime I'm doing a video training, I put everybody on really talk fast so that I can get the information in a shorter amount of time. But these are all of the product calls, and there's a couple in here that Lindsay did on, I think it's this one here on September 4th. She did two, loading your Healy apps onto an iPhone and a Samsung. So I've just put all of this information here on that page. So we just really want to just sort of move you into a place of, if you don't have the answer, please look for it. And then the other part of this website is, here's this search for up here. Just go to the website and type in what you're looking for, and then hit, and it usually will populate 2 or 3 different pages that hopefully you can find what you're looking for. But all of these are just your basic information, your first steps, your connections. Your first steps is how to sign up. Your first 30 days, your Fast Start program, what does it mean and what does that look like? And so it's basic information on signing up. Your connections is how to get into the Telegram apps, how to get into the Facebook pages, how to connect. Your business is everything from compensation all the way to compliance. So you can just click on that. Your device is all of the steps, all of the information, the videos, the how to find resources in your back office, from your documents that that allow you to run the device and work the device. And again, it's not a complete listing, but it at least gets you started. And usually, like if you go to some of those Vimeo, like down here, there's a Vimeo package. So if you click on that, you will find, after you've watched that video, there's probably going to be several right there on the screen that you can click on next. So I've sent people Vimeo recordings, just sent it in an email. And then when I chat with them, they're like, well, I've just been watching, Vimeo videos for about half an hour. Well, most of those are only 3 to 5 minutes long, which tells me that they clicked one video and then they went on to the next one, and then they went on to the next one, which is really awesome. So, so check out the links. There's some really great tools that you can use to help your downline and, help yourself. iPayout, that's something that's come up because people are starting to get paid and they just don't know how to access their iWallet and their payout. So in your back office, this is where you go. I'll go back to that screen in a second, but here's where you go. On your dashboard, you're going to go to My Payouts, and then you're going to click iPayout. So the process of getting into the e-wallet. iPayout is the platform, e-wallet is the money taker. So once you have money dumped from Healy into your e-wallet, iPayout is going to require from you some identification. They want to know who you are, and usually that's through a driver's license or an ID. Gwen and I were talking about an elderly person who doesn't have a driver's license anymore. Well, that person should have a state ID anyway. So it would be a good time to maybe have them get an ID. So I hadn't thought about that, but there are a lot of people that don't drive and don't have a driver's license. So they're going to require a photo ID, whether it's a passport or if you have a military ID or just a photo ID. But the big thing is that email. The email, when you first initiate getting into here, iPayout will send you an email that has already an automated ID and password. It's not, you can't get into your e-wallet through this portal by using what you get into your back office on your Healy dashboard. It will come to you in a separate email, and it will have, your account number will be this HPU underscore and then some numbers. I don't even know if there's 4. I'm thinking there's 4, there might be 5. But this email will have that ID number and your password. You can go in and change your password after the fact, but in order to get into your e-wallet, you have to have this email. If you haven't found that email, then I'll give you a number that you can call and find out how to have them either issue you a new email, or maybe they can get you into your e-wallet. But they'll need your driver's license. If you decide you want your money to be deposited into your bank account, then they're going to require a canceled check. In order to do that, you'll have to fill out an HCH form. So there is a little bit of involvement, and it does take a few days for each of those things to clear. If I've used their live chat, Gwen and I were talking about that today. The people at that at iPayout and eWallet are amazing. Their customer service is great. They have a live chat right there. Once you click into iPayout and you get into your back office of your eWallet, there's a live chat. So if you have any questions, you can just start typing and someone answers you. It's great. But they also have an 866-800 number that you can call, and they're great. They just give them your HPU account number, and they can help you with whatever you need and whatever you might be missing. The other thing I don't have on here that you might need or you will need to get money to be able to go into your bank account or onto a Visa card, or whichever way you decide to go, is you're going to need to fill out a W-9. And again, you can just fill that out online. You click it, it opens up the thing, you put in all your information. So there is a little bit of setup, but there is also a video. And the video, if you click here on your ATP 123, the way you get to that is through your business tab at the top, and then you click on compensation plan. And at the bottom, we have the set up your eWallet account. So this talks you through the how to do that, and then this is the video that you can watch to show you how to get all of that up and running. And then here's that 866 number. So I even have that in my phone now because I have to copy and paste that for people quite often. So one thing that what we need to realize is that when the money gets dropped from Healy into your eWallet and it shows that you have money in there, any issues you have getting that money or retrieving that money is no longer a Healy issue. There isn't anything Healy can do once that money has been dropped into that account. Any type of retrieval, whether you've chosen a Visa card or your bank account, anyway, or a check form if you're having them send you a check, all of that is on the iPayout eWallets. That's all them at that point. So you have to go through that live chat in their website or through this 866-844-5682 number. So I really wanted to sort of point people in that direction, because now that people are getting payment, they really want to get it out and they want to get it moved into their account. And then there's a little bit of a learning curve that way too. Okay, I'm not looking at the chat, so I don't know if we're accumulating any questions regarding this, but if anybody wants to just unmute, if you have any questions regarding this, feel free to do so now about the eWallet iPayout.
I want to add one thing or two things to that.
Okay.
Is that because you already said it basically, but I want to emphasize that Maria and I can do nothing for iPayout. There's nothing we can do to help you. You have to use the chat, which is very good. It's a live chat, or you need to call the phone number. And also I wanted to, Maria and I talked about this earlier, is that there's something called Know Your Customer, and the requirements that you have to have a valid ID and not expired, and those kind of things are just normal banking rules right now because of anti-money laundering and stuff like that. So these are not Healy rules. These are banking rules. There's no way around them. But it's no different than if you try to go open up a bank account these days. If the name doesn't match the account, they won't do it. If your ID is expired, they won't do it. I mean, when I moved back from Colorado, I still had some things kind of in different things of limbo. But the other thing I wanted to add to what she said is, if you set up your Healy account, like this happened to one of my practitioner friends, she told me exactly how she wanted to set up the account. And I said, okay, is that how you want to get paid? Yes. Okay. She has a last name that she uses professionally. She has a married last name, and then she has a business name. Okay, so she has three possibilities of the name, and actually she told me on the phone the other day that none of those match her bank account. Like, that's not the legal name on her ID on her bank account. So before you set up iPayout, in that case, you should go fix your name in the Healy back office by going to account settings and fix it to what your ID says. And this happened to me too, because my account was under Gwen Foster. My legal name was Gwendolyn Foster. So that held me up by almost 3 weeks to get the back office corrected so that the iPayout ID would match. Because when I sent them the ID, they said, sorry, your name doesn't match. Well, obviously Gwen Foster and Gwendolyn Foster is probably the same person, but it has to exactly match. So these, again, are not Healy problems, and they're not any other kind of person's issues. But if that stuff doesn't match, it's not going to go through, and you're going to be frustrated and wanting to waste time. So I would add that when you're setting up a new person, you should just right in the beginning say, what's the name on your bank account? because if they can put a business name, they can do whatever they want. But if it
That's a
doesn't
great
match,
idea. That's a great idea. Just in the very beginning, what's the name on your bank account? That's
yeah,
a great idea.
yeah, because if they're using their maiden name or their married name and their ID says their maiden name or whatever, then they're going to go through this little bit of frustration and a few weeks delay, because the back office, as you guys probably have figured out already, does not update on, quickly. So it took almost 3 weeks for me to get my name from Gwen to Gwendolyn. And the way I
Or if
knew,
your last name was hyphenated, that would be another thing that somebody might not put in when they're signing up to for a business center with Healy, but that's on their bank account.
exactly. Or a practitioner may say, I'm going to use my business name, but their bank account's not in their business name because they're a sole proprietor.
Right.
So it needs to match your bank account. So start in the very beginning asking people, what's your bank account name? Because if it's not that, even if they don't want to use their legal name, they have to, because otherwise they're not ever going to get paid and it's going to hold up their commission. So that's just something I wanted to kind of throw out there, is it's kind of think about being proactive in the way you set someone up, because it's going to make a difference later in this particular part. And I've had a few people now that have had to change their name, and it's already a 2 to 3 week process with iPayout. It's not quick because you have to provide documents. And this is another thing. Someone emailed me and said, I don't have a scanner. Okay, I can't fix that. Like, sorry, but you have to get your driver's license and that W-9 thing into the computer. So either you need to have your brother, mother, daughter, somebody do it for you, because there's no way to cheat that if you don't have a way to scan something. I don't know, maybe they would provide a fax number. No one uses fax really anymore.
You might be able to take a photo. You might be able to take a photo with your phone of the document and then
Yes, you can.
email it to yourself. Have you done that, Mary?
Yes, I have.
Perfect. Okay, so you can take a photo with your phone and then send it to yourself through, email it to yourself.
Yeah,
And
except
then
the person in the world that doesn't have email on my phone. So like, think of that, because I don't have that option.
I didn't have to use email. All I did was take the picture and then I just loaded it from my photos. You're able to select where you want to gather the information from when you go to upload.
Awesome. Okay, very cool.
And I'm
Great
not very
information.
technical, just so you know, and I got that figured out. So there's ways to do it.
You're the
I know,
bomb.
but what do you do then on the W-9?
The W-9, I think you open up. I think you open it up and no, I'm thinking about something else.
No, anything that had to be like an actual signature.
Yep.
I printed the document, signed it, took a picture, and uploaded the photo.
Yeah, but you still need a printer then. So there is something you need, because you can't do that whole process with just your phone.
Correct. There's some steps, but a lot of it you can do, pretty simply.
I know, but I'm having people ask me basic questions, like they don't have a printer,
Correct.
they don't enter, and those are things that, like I said, go to Office Depot or have a friend do it for you, but there's some things you have to take that action, because there's no way that we can fix that for you.
Right. And we're getting a lot of calls now about this, and all we can do is just send them to getting into watching the video and getting into their e-wallet so that they can now. And some people don't even realize that there's an email that came with an ID and a password, and they're trying to get into their e-wallet using their Healy ID and password, and that doesn't work. So you have to look in your email first and get that information.
Mm-hmm. And say that I've been working on this. In fact, I worked on it a good part of today, and I worked on it all this past week. So I've been doing a lot of these things, and there's a few points that people have to recognize. One is that you, depending on how you decide to have this paid to you, the cheapest way is to put it in your bank account, and that's going to be €1, and that equals $1.15 at this moment. There are lots of other ways, and it's from $10 to $20. So you might want to decide if you want it put into your bank account. They have your account verified. They say it takes about 5 days, and then after it's verified, it takes about 2 or 3 days. You can also set it up so that you automatically, whenever you get any money from Healy, it will automatically go to your bank account, which at that point will take about 2 or 3 days. But it's a lot simpler, but you have to first set it up. In my case, I was having problem with the document. And also it turned out that when they had approved it, they said we approved it, but they had the tax information, but they claimed not to have my passport. I told them that I had done it with, I sent it to Healy, payout, whatever it's called, I pay out or whatever, last week. So I called their 800 number. You're right, they're absolutely amazing. Very, very good customer service. I got someone on the phone immediately. She checked and she said, oh, well, we have your passport. So they verified that account. And then I thought, okay, great. So I filled out all the bank information. And then they said, oh, well, it's going to take, you have to send us a copy of the canceled check, as you mentioned. I couldn't figure out how to do that. I took a photo and then I send it to my email. I couldn't figure out how to download it, upload it or whatever, but they give you a fax number so you can take your check to Ginkgo's or wherever and have them fax it. And then they say it takes about 5 days to start. So I'm suggesting that I think that when people get their, even they get an email, I didn't find it, but a lot of people get an email when they enroll. They get an email almost right away about the wallet. So you can tell people to sign up for the wallet right away so that they have it already set up before they get any money. So they don't have to go through this whole process of having money sitting there, not being able to access it for a period of time.
Yeah, they'll still have to go through the same process, but it'll be prepared for them when the money is there.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
they'll be ready
right.
to go. They will only have to do they won't have all these extra steps to worry about unnecessarily.
Right. And you're right. They do, they put a couple of small deposits in your account and you have to verify the amounts. So there are several steps that we haven't included in here that are, you're right. Let's have people set up their e-wallet right away, so that it's ready to go, because some people do run into a few glitches here, like Gwen was talking about with the name being different or them actually having the documents, but they haven't verified them and activated your account yet. I had that happen with someone else as well. Consuela, I had to call them and say, we went ahead and you should have her driver's license, and they did, and they verified it right there, just like you're saying, they verified it right there. But if we hadn't have made the step to call or do the live chat, it may have taken a lot longer.
Correct. And the other thing that is true too is that I'm going to be moving out of state in the next few weeks. I already changed my address to where I'm moving, but my bank account has my current address. So I called eWallet to ask them what the situation was, and what they said, and of course that may not be true, but what she said is that what's important is to have your name, your proper name, your account number, your routing number. And she said it didn't matter what the address was. It wasn't relevant, because I asked them if they would hold up my money if I had to change my address back or whatever. And they said, no, that wasn't necessary.
Awesome. Thank you for that input. That was super helpful. And I'm sure everybody on the call appreciates the firsthand experience you just went through today.
Well, I've already sent it to my group, my little tiny group, so that what we're doing is whenever we hear anything, we send it to each other, and we set up a little thing on, in my case, Yahoo. I have a little file that's a Healy file, and I put everything in there, even if I don't look at it right away. Like yours, the stuff you send. I put it in there. Whenever I have time, I open it up and look at it.
Wonderful. Yeah. And that's just a way for us to have those reference points for people when they do come at us and we maybe have not thought about that in a while, but we've got a resource and we've got it in a certain place. So awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. That is valuable, valuable information. And I'm sorry that it took you all day or most of the day.
It didn't take me all day, but I mean, I was doing it today, the part with the I still haven't gone to Office Max to send them my fax. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if I can send it any other way, but it will take a few more days. And the point is, to have that all set up in advance would be important for everyone to know, because they're all thinking, oh, it's going to be 3 weeks before I get my money, but they don't realize it might take another week or two after that if they're not, set up for it.
Right. So one of the things that we need to be looking at when we're bringing a new member in and they've signed up is the first one that Gwen said, which was the aha moment tonight, which is, what is your bank account listed as? And let's make that your name. And then what Consuela just said is, let's set up your e-wallet right away so that any glitches can be dealt with prior to you getting some type of commission that gets dropped into your account, and then it's available. So because after that, like Consuela said, you can go in and you can do an auto transfer so that now anytime Healy puts anything into your e-wallet, it automatically drops into your account at that $1.15-ish rate per transfer, which is the least expensive way to get paid through this particular platform. So all good information. I have, like, again, I haven't been checking the chat. Gwen, is there anything that needs to be shared from that?
I actually wasn't in the chat, but before we went to questions, I wanted to let's finish the things we wanted to cover first and then go to questions.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, Consuelo, for that input. Appreciate it.
Very welcome.
Before we get on to something else, well, I do want to get on to something else. So back to something you said, Maria, because this is a question that comes up a lot. And before we get on to a totally new subject, is I'm getting a lot of people that I don't know what the disconnect is, but every time we do Zoom calls every week, I send out the recordings a day or two later, usually Thursday or Friday. I can't show my screen, Maria, because I have it on my phone to show the apps. Can you just email and show people how to search? Like if they want to find a video on Watch, and if they're, what we don't have set up, and I know that it may seem like a simple thing to you guys, but when someone asks me for a specific video that might be 5 weeks old, it's not so quick for me to go do that, and I'm not going to do that. It's just taking up too much time because I'm getting too many requests. So if you'll go to your email and learn how to search on email, and if you were already on my list, you'll find that every video that I've ever done has been sent out by email. So it's not posted anywhere. So this is the question that comes up every time someone just posted, where's the recording posted? It's not posted anywhere. It's sent out by email. So all my videos are sent out by email. All the calls that Maria and I have done together is sent out by email. All the training calls sent out by email. All the introduction to Healy sent out by email. So whatever topic you're looking for, if you'll go to your email and type that topic and then my name or my email address or some other reference to it would be coming from me. So maybe you can show them, so you can show them like an example of a watch video or an intro to Healy video or something, because I think that it's easier for you guys to ask me for it, but I have to stop what I'm doing, find the video and resend it. And sometimes that takes more than just a few minutes. And I was going to ask Maria this earlier today when we talked, but I forgot. I know she has a corner for me now. and we also talked about putting a YouTube channel together, which has not happened yet. I've already told people you guys can share my videos. I don't care where you post them, but I don't have time to do it. So if someone wants to post my videos into a central location besides Maria putting me on the ATP website, it's not just me, it's me and Maria. Most of these calls every week are her and I, except for maybe one where she had other plans. So I don't care if you guys put them someplace and share them with your team. I don't care if you put them on Facebook. I don't care if you put them on wherever, but either Maria and Chris can maybe post them so that they're in a central location, or if you guys are not on my email list, I'll put my email in the chat. So everybody that's got on this call some other way today can have a way to say, hey, put me on your list. And then, but everything I do is email. I don't do social media. I don't do Telegram. Well, I do look at Telegram, but I don't post anything on Telegram. I don't do anything on WhatsApp. So I'm an email girl. So do you have any suggestions, Maria, except for what you're trying to show on email?
One thing is I would create, like, you could create a folder over here if you wanted to do something different and just to have it. But a lot of our calls, we don't We're not really great about making the disclaimers all the way through that we're not treating, we're not curing, we're not preventing, we're not doing any of that. This is for educational and what did we say? Educational and
or entertainment.
Entertainment purposes is what we have to say. So we probably don't want to put this on Facebook. We probably don't want to put our calls, load them up there. We might even have to put them as page protected, password protected on ATP, just because we haven't done that. But I wanted to at least get them up and show you that they're there for the moment. So, but you're welcome to include all of these in. Let me just find one here. If this is like, here's the watch demo.
And Maria, I was talking more about like private Facebook groups and places
got you. Okay.
where people are sharing just with their teams just to get the information out there. Yeah, so I'm not saying go put it somewhere like totally public.
Right. So here's some, this was on, what day was this? This was on July 23rd. So this is a recording that Gwen did, introduction to Healy. So this is another one I probably should put on the ATP website, but you can just copy and paste this link into a whole new, let me try to get it here. Well, I can do the whole thing. I can do all of this, and you can just copy and paste that, copy. I just right clicked on my mouse and did copy into a new composition and put it down here in the body of the letter, and then I'm just going to hit Control V, or you could do right click paste. So now it's there, and then you put your subject in here. Here's the bomb Gwen, and then you put it to whoever you want to, and you click send. You've just sent somebody that video. So again, it's pretty easy once you've done it a couple times, but it's just the process of doing it. And I think sometimes that scares a lot of people, especially our people who aren't super into the technology part. But it is, if you do it a couple of times, it does become a lot more easy. Somebody's drawing on our screen. Okay, so let me do a new share back here. Okay. So anyway, that's the easy way to do that. And I know that a lot of this.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now? Yes, good. Okay. I clicked a button on my headset, and I was like, can you guys hear me at all? Because my whole headset went weird. Okay. Sorry about that. So most of the things that Gwen and I do, we do through Googling. So like if you needed to find out how to copy and paste a link into an email, then you could Google that. You can just go to Google and say, copy and paste a document or a link into my email, and it'll literally just show you how to do that. And so we do a lot of those things, and I think those are some of the resources that we haven't been used to, especially those of us who are in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. We haven't been used to doing that a lot. This is stuff that the 20s and 30-year-olds have down pat, even the teenagers have down pat, but we have to kind of learn how to do that, and those of us who have had to learn stuff pretty on the fly, we go to Google a lot. So Google is your really good friend. Make Google your friend, and you can type in any question into the Google search and just say, I want to find out how I can make a document, my Word document, into a PDF so that you can upload it to the e-wallet. I mean, that's something that you can find out. So lots of things you can do on Google. We can't walk you through everything. We would love to be able to have the time and energy to do that, but there's so many little nuances to this business that require a lot of just already a knowledge base outside of just Healy. And I think that's the hard part for people. Okay, is there anything else you want?
Not on that topic. Do you want to, what else do you have? We'll keep going.
I just put together, we wanted to talk about healing crises. We wanted to talk about the Healy. We kind of talked about this pretty much in depth earlier today about a lot of our people that are going through detox, not understanding because they haven't done body cleanses or organ cleanses, or they haven't used an apparatus or a device that could stir up some stuff in the physical body. So we wanted to talk about understanding a healing crisis and detox opposed to an actual health crisis and knowing the difference. So Gwen, did you want to, I just took some stuff from our naturopathic health seminar that we did, the workshop we did, that just talks about understanding what detox is, and the body will use whatever orifice it can to get toxins out. And that could be all the way from having a runny nose for 3 days or having an excessive period, menstrual flow that month. It could be sweating profusely. It could be all of a sudden you have an open lesion, like it may look like, staph or a yeast something on your wrist or your hands. Your skin might start peeling. There's all kinds of different things that can happen. So, I don't know.
Yes.
Packages out here for you.
Let me see if I can unmute who's talking.
Where?
I'm trying to mute her, but it's not letting me. Oh, there you go.
I think I got it. Okay.
Yeah, so also yeast infections, UTIs, skin rashes, especially kind of in the sweat areas, like under the arms and under the breast and in the groin. Those are common. The reason Maria and I talked about it is I'm getting people that are like telling me they're in the hospital or ER, and with being a naturopathic doctor, it's one of the things I hear a lot from people. I'm sure Maria does too, but if I put someone on a liver cleanse or a kidney cleanse, which you think would not be any different than running the kidney program or the liver program, I'm going to warn them of side effects, not the side effects of the pills, but the side effects of doing a cleanse. And symptoms could even be like flu-like, which right now people freak out and go get COVID tested when it wouldn't even be COVID, or flu-like symptoms or fatigue. I know liver cleansing for me always makes me super tired, like tired to where I can't get out of bed tired. Mm-hmm. So, there should be kind of some kind of understanding or warning, I think, of healing crisis. And the less hydrated you are and the less minerals that you have because you don't eat fruits and vegetables, and the more sick you are and the more ill or chronic your illnesses have been, the more likely you're going to have an episode. But the main thing I want to share, because this happens to me as a practitioner, is I get a lot of people that come to me and they go, well, so-and-so put me on this thing and it made me really sick. And so I've stopped going to that person. And I'm like, well, what'd they put you on? And they're like, oh, it was some kind of liver stuff. And I'm like, perfect. That means it was working. Like, there has to be a reset or a mental adjustment about how the body gets rid of toxins. It's not just like poof, they disappear. The body sometimes has to re-experience the toxins to get them out. Like the liver has to dump them. They go back into the gut, which usually causes cramping or feeling badly. And then you've got to poop them out. So if you have constipation or elimination issues, then that's when you're going to start being really smelly, or you're going to have something coming out of your skin because it can't get out through your colon. And so all of these discomforts, if you don't know what's happening, a lot of people will run to their doctor and get an antibiotic, or which is what the doctors only ever give you, or something else that's suppressive, and then you've accomplished absolutely nothing. So
right, the toxins have stayed in your system then. If you have diarrhea and you're taking something to stop the diarrhea, you've just thwarted the body's ability to release all the toxins, the cellular toxins that it was wanting to get out. And so the same thing with the fever, taking some type of an NSAID to stop the fever. No, the body may need to get up to a certain temperature to burn something off. The body is so smart. And I think, again, that's part of where the medical world has sort of not given us a straight answer, is that the body is always working for the betterment of the body. The body is always trying to find that balance. So even a fever is finding balance. So we got to get out of this thought process that symptoms are bad, because symptoms show you that your body is actually functioning properly.
Yeah, and another example to that, Maria, I'm glad you brought up fever, is that, some people have sent me emails that said, well, what do I do for bacteria? Well, fever is what you do for bacteria. You know, if you have a fever, you're fighting bacteria, but then what do people do? They go fight the fever instead of letting it run its course and fight the bacteria. So again, bacteria are responding to fever or to what your thyroid's doing and other things. And so if you understood what the body's trying to do, you'd be thankful for the symptoms, get rest, drink lots of fluids, let your body rest and heal. But also, you know, and I'm going to say this, and everyone knows who this means. If you have a serious condition, like you have an advanced illness, like kidney failure, heart disease, you're a diabetic who's not responding to their insulin, you know, your glucose is still too high. If you have been sick and tired for a long time, you know, have a lot of fatigue issues. I am trying to mute Christina again. I don't know if you can do it, Maria, because for some reason, post, you have to do it.
Okay, let me find her.
She's run under your name because she unmuted herself again.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, if you're a person who has been chronically ill, then you need to be more careful with the Healy, and more is not better. We said this a lot on the workshop. You need to do like not more than maybe one gold program to start. Do that for a few days, see how you do. Add a second one, see how you do. But at any time, if you start feeling uncomfortable or having symptoms, if you think you're in danger, yes, go check with your doctor. But if it's just after you started a new program on Healy, I would say, are you hydrated? I would say, have you had enough sleep? You know, do you need to take time off? Do you need to back down to one program? Because for a person who's chronically ill, it might take you weeks or months to get up to the max of 7 programs. Like I definitely would not recommend that for a person who has, you know, a very aged person, a person who's chronically ill. And remember that your body will detox through whatever organ it can. So a lot of times that's through the skin, or if it can't get through the colon because you have a history of constipation, it's going to be somewhere. It might be, like she said, your runny nose or bad breath or, you know, whatever, but it can have lots of issues. And one of the big issues is diarrhea and stomach upset, because as the toxins have to be dumped out of the other body parts and re-experienced through the elimination, which is through your stomach, a lot of times there's cramping and a griping or even a discomfort or even nausea would be considered normal. And so anyway, it's also important to make sure the colon is working. Like, even if you have to take something like, hopefully not medication, but something like oxy powder or some kind of colon product that helps, you know, there's lots out there. I like Global Healing's oxy powder, but you want to make sure things are moving, because if that's not moving, you probably have no business running any of the elimination organs, because it's all going to get backed up and you're going to feel very toxic.
Christina, you can unmute yourself, I think, if you had a question, you had your hand raised. Christina, let's see, ask to unmute.
She might have been pushing buttons and just accidentally raised her.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
hello.
Yeah.
Am I here? Hi. Thank you. I thought you weren't supposed to use it if you have a fever.
Well, the fever could be caused from using it. So that's kind of a thing that I think is silly, because if you put yourself into detox, it's very likely that it's causing the fever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're talking more about
Okay.
people running into healing crises where maybe fever is involved, and then that spooks people, and then they end up in the emergency room for something that really over probably 3 to 12 hours would have resolved itself with better hydration, a little bit of sleep, adding some minerals, some vitamins, adding some support for the system so that it could work through the toxicity. But we have a lot of people that haven't even done a cleanse ever, so maybe don't understand the healing crisis. And that's kind of why we wanted to talk about it, because we do have people that are, you know, they may get their Healy and get all excited and run 5 programs in the first day, and then the next day they feel not so great, and they're thinking that the Healy has done damage or something like that, so they go to the ER, but really it's more about that they put themselves in a body where their body couldn't detoxify as quickly as it needed to. And so now we're into some symptoms. And that's kind of what we wanted to talk about, is all the different things like on this screen, common toxicity of different things that we all have in our system. These are all things that are there. Well, maybe not the alcohol and smoking in everybody, but all of these, even pharmaceuticals, it's in our drinking water. I mean, we are exposed to all of this all the time. So these are the type of things that our cells really want to get out. So yeah, if somebody had, you know, a super high fever, I don't know, I guess if where I'm at, if I had a fever, I would so run my Healy. I would be helping my body. I would be helping my body get through it a lot quicker, because a fever is a way that the body
Right, right.
is, you know, using to burn off toxins or bacterias and get you to a place where you feel better faster. But the thing about a fever, especially that undulating fever that comes back, look, kids get this a lot because it'll go up and then it'll go down, and then it'll 2 days later or the next day it'll go up and it'll go down. But what I've found in my research and in my clinic is that if the organs aren't supported, so let's say strep throat goes around this time of year, it's coming into our season of strep. Emotionally, strep has to do with anger and inflamed family environment. Well, we're going to have a lot of that coming into this season because we got parents at home trying to teach. We've got Zoom calls. Some kids are going to school, but they've got masks. I mean, even in our what we thought was a perfect world last fall, it's way different this time. So we're going to see that spike in strep. Strep also has an effect on the heart because it's part of the scarlet fever strain. So what I find in a lot of my younger people that come in is if we can support the heart with really good heart support tinctures, then the fever will come and go. It's like the body knows, let's put it this way. Let's say your body had to get up to 103.8 for 20 minutes in order to kill that strep bacteria. And you were up at 103.6, almost to 103.8, and that little person's heart, maybe there's not enough heart support to really keep everything supported and calm while the body's getting up to this temperature. If that support isn't there, guess what the body does? In favor of the heart and the rest of the organs, it'll bring the fever down. But we still have the strep because the body wasn't able to get the fever up to that 103.8 for that 20 minutes. But if we can support the other organs, and this is where the nutrition comes in, if we can support the other organs really well so that when the fever is present and the organs of the body are not compromised at all, the fever can get to that 103.8 for 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, everything in the body just gets better. Like overnight, it gets better. But a lot of us are so deficient in the foundational nutrition that when we have something attack our system and our immune system is trying really hard, we'll start up with that fever and all of a sudden the body goes, oh, can't get that high because we're putting the brain at risk, or we're putting the heart at risk, putting the kidneys at risk. We can't do that right now. We got to calm down, bring in more resources. The person starts eating more, bringing more hydration in because they don't feel good. All of a sudden the body goes, oh, I think we got enough. We can get that fever up again, but it can't quite get there. So again, when I see people, I'm like, okay, what organ do we need to support the most? And what can we do foundational nutrition wise to get that body into a place that when the fever gets up there, it can be there for however long the body knows it needs to be there for without harming the rest of the system. So if I had a fever, I would so be running the Healy. I'd be running the heart programs. I'd be running the liver and the kidney in a gentle way of support. Maybe I would use more of the gold programs, the care and the pure and the balance to make the body be in a better place. But also with all of those microcurrents coming in and frequencies coming in, our body's utilizing nutrition better. So again, I personally, if I had a fever, I would so be using the Healy. And I think Gwen just said she would do the same thing. Sorry, I went on a rant there.
No, I would.
Hopefully, I don't know, Christina, did that answer your question? Did you have anything else?
Yeah, pretty much so. I just remember reading in the directions that you're not supposed to use it
Yeah, and
with
I
a
would
high
say,
fever
and I would,
in
I would
the
say
initial
follow.
manual.
Yeah, and I would say follow the directions. I'm just saying personally, I just know my body better than the manual does, so I probably would run the Healy. That's just my own personal. I'm not making any recommendations for anyone else. Everybody needs to kind of follow their own. Les,
Right. I
you have,
probably would too. So.
yeah, okay. Les,
Yes.
you have your hand raised.
One
Okay.
of the things I have not seen on any of these webinars or the workshop we went through is children. If you use the blue app or the pink app without the cables, is it all right to use with children?
I
I
would use,
do.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so there is no contraindications in reference to, as long as we don't use the cables, is that correct?
Well, I have a almost 3-year-old grandson, and there's no way that I could keep those cables on him, even if he wasn't feeling anything. So I was just with him this weekend, and I wanted him to go to sleep sooner on his nap because he was pretty wound up. So I put it on bed rest, and I had it at probably 20%, put it behind him on the couch as we were reading some books. And within 10 minutes, his eyes got so droopy, he couldn't keep them open. I couldn't even wake him up to move him into his bed for his nap time. So I've used the Healy for his skin issues. He has some eczema stuff after some vaccinations that he had, so I've used I've used it a lot of times for him. But that's what I do is I just put the Healy around him in his space, and it's made a world of difference on a lot of things. That bed rest was just another example of that. Have you used that on your grandkids, Gwen?
I have, and similarly, you know, like kind of just sitting it next to them,
Mhm.
and it works great, especially in bed, you know, because they're 2 and 4, so they're very restless. They think it's fun at Gigi's house, you know, and I'm like, okay, time for bed. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. So we can be a little sneaky that way, but they don't really have any health issues, so I haven't used it for health issues. I've done it more for like calming, bedtime, you know, stuff like that. So they don't have any specific health issues I've used it for. I wanted to say something, but I would definitely use it for kids and babies. There was no contraindications for that at all, just like I use it for my dog.
Do you use the blue app?
What?
Do you use the blue app also?
I use both. I mean, if
Use
my,
both.
Okay,
you
because
know,
this child
the-
does have all kinds of health problems. That's what I'm thinking of. It's a friend of ours, granddaughter, and she's got all kinds of health problems. But that's the reason I was wondering if there would be any things to look out for.
No, but just the detox, like we're saying, because, okay, so I want to get back on the subject for 1 more minute, then remind me of
Sure.
something with, so okay, one thing that we didn't mention, which we cover in a whole of the workshop, but I want to bring this up now because you're saying what things to watch out for. The same things that we're talking about with old people that have chronic health issues, would it be the same true of kids? Sometimes when you are doing something, like even with the Blue Dot app and you're doing like homeopathy, sometimes you can cause an aggravation. It doesn't mean that you've made them worse. It doesn't mean that you have caused a new problem, and almost never will it be a new problem. It would be either a detox reaction, which would be a healing crisis, or it would be homeopathy, which actually the definition of homeopathy is it heals from the inside out and downward to upward, and in a reverse order of your symptoms. So sometimes someone, let's say they had eczema 2 years ago, and now their issue is more gut issues. Well, you could actually, if you have the right homeopathic, you might trigger a new episode of eczema, which might in their mind be resolved, but it's actually generally suppressed. And then the person, like the parent, could go, well, you did something and now they have eczema again, and they think it's worse, but they don't understand homeopathy. So I cannot encourage you guys enough to go back and do the workshop, or go back and listen to it again. If you did it, you can still buy it as a recorded version. But there's 3 possibilities going on with symptoms. One is they're having a normal reoccurring symptom that they always have. 2 is they're having a healing crisis because of their detox. Or 3 is that you chose a really good homeopathy for them and they're having a reversal of symptoms, which is very normal in homeopathy. But if you don't know which thing you're dealing with, and if you're just like broadcast this, broadcast this, broadcast this, broadcast that, and then you're doing pink dot apps and you've done now 25 things, it's too much.
Yeah. The other thing on that, there's a confusion. Are the bush flowers, the excellers, and all those different things part of the 5 to 7 that maximum you're supposed to do a day, or are those completely separate from that?
Well, generally when they're saying 5 to 7, they're talking about the microcurrents, but I'm telling you guys that the Blue Dot apps also go in in that mix, you know, some people, like, I know they tell me they've done like every single one of them, and they've done every one of those for 5 or 15 minutes or whatever. And then they've done the pink dot apps, and it's just like a bunch of, I mean, I'm talking about like 50 to 100 things. I personally think that's too much for anybody.
Right. Well,
So-
what I do is I run it and I do the top 3 or 4 of the all Healy programs, and then I give myself all my vitamins with the Australian, the aminos, the those rock things, and the other one, the slush or whatever it was you like so well. I do that every day, but that's why I was wondering, because I thought I'd heard on the workshop that those also need to be counted on the 5 to 7. I must have heard wrong.
No, you're doing what I do too. But what I'm saying is some people are going through every single category, not just the top 3.
Right.
And then they're microcurrents and doing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or however many they have time for.
Right.
Or doing it all day. And I'm saying that's too much, but everyone's different. What might be too much for someone else may not be too much for me. So if someone starts experiencing detox symptoms, which is what Maria has had on the screen,
Right.
then to back off of everything they're doing. Like, I can't tell, this is a question people ask me by email that I just can't answer. One program may be too much. Someone else might do 10 and nothing happen. But that's generally how healthy one person is compared to another. So there is no flat answer that everybody. So if you start having die-off symptoms, which would be like the diarrhea, the fatigue, the headache, the feeling like you feel like crap, you need to back off of everything and drink a lot of fluids.
Right.
And then start back slowly. So in that case, I'm saying blue and pink dot app. Like, it means you're probably doing too much.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Would you agree with Maria?
I totally agree. Yeah, I think we have to, I don't ever want somebody to be in pain to get better, although I know that there are times where you gotta get the toxins out, and that's gotta come out somehow. But I don't really want anybody to be in pain over it. I want it to be tolerable. And what the body considers tolerable and what the person's emotional state considers tolerable are 2 different things. Because symptoms that toxic pathways that my body might use to get stuff out, I might have a higher pain tolerance. I might be able to tolerate that differently than my husband or my brother or my sister-in-law or a neighbor, because we're all so different. So we have to take that into account, that everybody has different pain tolerances. They have different pathways that their body's going to use, and they have different things in their cells. And that's another thing that I think we need to talk about, is that our body is really, really, really stealth at hiding toxins that it can't get out. And so as we're going through this healing, we are stirring things up. So when Gwen was talking about, bringing up an old pattern of eczema, and the person might think, oh, well, that Healy gave my daughter eczema again. No, the eczema, the body actually was really good at keeping all of that at bay and keeping those skin irritations and disruptions down, because it's been harboring stuff in the liver for a long time. And now all of a sudden the Healy is allowing the body to express and get out those toxins the way it was initially, but then had to pull back because it didn't have the resources to do it all the way. So again, it's looking at the body a different way than what we've been used to looking at it. And there's just a lot of new people coming into that concept. So.
Yeah, because of the Western medical paradigm. I do have another example, because the other question I get on this topic pretty frequently, and probably Maria too, is, this goes back to why we did the workshop in the first place. Is the question is, I'm going to use eczema again, because eczema is a lot of possible issues. Okay, so someone writes me an email that they have chronic eczema. They've used the Healy for a few weeks, but they've had eczema their whole life. They've used Healy a few weeks and it's not getting better, and they're considering returning the Healy. If you can share this information with your teams, you're going to get a lot less of those kind of that kind of feedback. And I'm going to give you my perspective and then ask Maria to share hers. The thing with eczema is, if you were going to look at it logically, you would go, that's a skin issue. I'm going to run a skin program. But eczema is almost always a digestive and intestinal issue and stomach issue. And very commonly it's a food allergy. So if someone is running the skin program every day and they're saying my skin's not getting better, or let me give you another example. Let's say they're celiac and they maybe don't know they're celiac or whatever, but the first thing I'd give up if I had eczema would be wheat gluten. But anyway, let's say they haven't tried that, but they're still eating that thing that's violating them, that's causing their misery, and they haven't given it up. And they're running the skin program thinking their skin should get better, but they keep eating bread, so it's not ever going to get better. Then the expectation that the Healy is going to heal that is kind of ridiculous. But another example would be if someone's running the skin program, but really they need to be running the stomach program or the allergy program or the, something like that. That's where I'm saying that we need to have, kind of a different, like going back again to the workshop, I hate to keep plugging it, but we have to look at it differently from an underlying cause, because most times when people say something isn't working, it's because they're actually either targeting the wrong thing or the underlying cause has not been addressed, like their food allergy or something else that they're doing that's actually causing a problem, or like maybe they have headaches and they have an aspartame sensitivity, but they're drinking 2 Diet Cokes a day. Well, we're not going to ever get rid of the headaches if they're doing aspartame. So that's just what I'm saying. Be a little open-minded, because it's not, it is a miracle, but it's not really, magic. It's not going to go poof, oh, this is going to go, especially if you're the one assaulting and causing the problems. So what would you say about that, Maria?
The only thing I would add to that is to take in, like with eczema, we're looking at the skin, so we're looking at boundary issues and where, maybe those boundaries have been. So again, we have to look at the emotional components too, because there's that aspect that could be bringing the immune system and the different systems in the body not be functioning 100% based on the fact that there's emotion that's not being dealt with. And again, we talked a lot about that in the webinar. We also did a Zoom call, I think, on that, where we talked a lot about the body connection with emotion. And I think that is overlooked so often. I think that's why it's great that they've included the Bach remedies and the Alaskan elixirs and the Australian bush flowers. I think it's great that they've added that in, and the homeopathy, so you can get a better idea of what might be kind of underneath the surface emotionally that you need to deal with. So we just want to make sure that we're encouraging everybody to look at the whole body, step back and look at the macrocosm of the entire body and what it's trying to do. Don't focus on the fever or the 2 days of diarrhea or 6 days of constant, mucus from your nose and thinking you have a sinus infection, but it's clear. Your snot's clear. You're just a really good snot maker at that moment. It's maybe not be an infection. But going to the emergency room, going to your doctor, they're going to look at things differently because that's their job, is to take symptoms and diagnose you. And they may not be looking at, this is a detox. If you say, well, I did the Healy and I did 5 sessions in one day and I feel like I'm just detoxing, they're going to look at you kind of with trout eyes, wondering what you mean, because they're looking at your symptoms. And so we just really wanted you to encourage to look at your symptoms differently from this point on, and to try to pinpoint some of those things. Is it the food you're eating? Could it possibly be that? Are you open to changing if it is? That's the biggest thing. Are you open to changing if it is? Like Gwen said, if you're having, aspartame headache, are you willing to give up your Diet Coke? So a lot of times people aren't willing to, they're more likely to go through the pain because they don't want to give up the thing that's giving it to them. But we just need to move into a new realm of thought, and that's kind of what we're encouraging.
Another quick question. I don't know if you got the announcement today. There's been a complete upgrade on the Blue app, and they said, and on Android, you can go to the App Store, hit upgrade, and it does it. My wife has an iPhone. She can't figure out how to do it. Do you guys have an iPhone?
I have an iPhone and I haven't even seen that communication yet.
Yeah, it came through 2 hours ago. In fact, he's going to discuss it on the corporate call tomorrow.
Did you see that yet?
No, I saw that they were coming up with something, but I think it's probably since before we got on the call or since we've been on the call. I don't know when it came out, but I knew that their original one today said that they were working on it. So that was very encouraging.
Yeah, they sent it through, and I've already updated mine on the App Store, but we can't figure out how to do it on an iPhone.
Well, wouldn't it work to uninstall the app and reinstall it? Wouldn't it load the latest version then?
Then you'll have to reinstall. I mean, they said upgrade it. They didn't say take it off and redo it.
Well, I know, but you're right on, well, I can,
Because all of our clients will be on.
well, no, those are saved on the master key.
So this just says to check for updates. I just looked here. This was this morning. Rick said that, I'll just read it. Team, I just heard from Martin Whitman that he'll be on the weekly update Zoom tomorrow, which we should all be on, to answer questions about some of the recent issues. He asked me to relay to you now to check for updates on your device as they just completed an update. Zoom info to follow soon. He hasn't posted the Zoom info, but that's good.
Oh,
that means
yeah,
that they've.
I have it. So I have an iPhone less, and on my iPhone it is there. So you need to go to your app store and go here. Let me just show my. Well, no, I can't show my screen. Do you have another?
Let me look and see what else I have here. No, that was the well, let me make sure that it doesn't go somewhere else.
So
Nope,
the
that was
iPhone does the same. It's from the App Store.
okay.
Yeah, how you update apps is from the App Store.
Gwen, I'm making you host again.
No.
Okay, I'll show my screen because I can answer this question, and that's a good. Actually, that's one of the other subjects we had for tonight was to talk about the technical issues. But there's nothing we can do about it until they're resolved, but it sounds like maybe the resolution is here. Okay, so can you see my screen now?
Just so you know, this
Not
is
yet.
Mary, and I am on my iPhone right now.
There you go.
And I don't see a place to do an actual, like where it says update, but what I went into was the settings.
Wait. I know, wait, I'm about to show you, so just let me show you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm on an iPhone 11, and if you go to the App Store and you type Healy Analyze, there's an update button. That's very simple.
Well, hers isn't there. She's got an 8, but I don't know why that would make a difference. Because
Yeah, I tried that, Gwen. I'm Suzanne, his wife, and it didn't have update. Yeah, it just
Did you type Heal Analyze or something else?
yes, I did Healy Analyze. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you. But when this was going on, some people were already uninstalling and reinstalling their apps. Did you do that by any chance? Or
Nope, I didn't touch it.
okay, I can't explain that then. But what I do know is if you uninstall the app and reinstall the app, you're going to have the latest version anyway. In my case, my blue app is working, so I'm not going to do this because actually I don't want it not to work. So I'm on alone until they for sure have it worked out because mine never stopped working. But I didn't hit the update. But anyway, this is how you would normally get to the update, and you have to make sure you're at the right app. So if I were to click update, it would go through and do its little thing. So if you have an iPhone 8, I don't know why it would be different, but
Yeah, it just says open, that, because it's the general app.
so maybe, let me see if I can tell you what version. So this version is 1.15.3. Can you see what version y'all have?
What'd you say at 1.1?
The new is
right
one.
there it shows a version, honey, right? What's new? It shows you.
You know what? I clicked on it and now it shows there's an update
There you
for update. Yeah, it is 1.15.3.
Well, that's the new one, which says fix critical bugs, fixed overflowing the cloud, fixed screen off.
Right,
So
I got to it.
One.
Yeah,
So you need to,
mine, I just have to go to one click and then it took me there because all day I haven't hardly been able to get into the Analyze all day because it's been either extremely slow.
it's been a known problem since last week. I've sent out several emails that everyone knew this was a problem.
Okay.
So that's one thing we were going to talk about was the watch sync wasn't working. The Blue Dot app was having problems, not for everybody, but for some people. And I sent out multiple emails since last week of information that Chris and Maria sent to me. So if you guys are having Healy problems, you should check the emails because if I hear of anything going on, I'm going to send that out to everybody. And there was some videos on how to do your own master key. There was all kinds of stuff since last week, since the call last Tuesday. So make sure and go into emails, because it's usually answering the questions that you guys are having that's affecting a lot of people. I don't have an Android, so I don't know, but I'm assuming on an Android it would be on the App Store as well.
It is.
So, okay, so same thing. You need to go to the App Store, not settings, but App Store. And that's where you're always going to find your updates, especially if you can't get into the app itself. So I didn't see this announcement, like I said, because I was on a client call right before I got on the Zoom call. And since there was nothing we could do about this except wait for them to fix this critical bug, do you want to add anything to it, Maria? But now it sounds like it's resolved maybe.
No, but what's interesting is I haven't had any issues with my Blue app at all. It was my watch that I got to use for one day. And then, so I'm hoping that this bug helps the watch app as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, my Blue was working, but my watch sync was not working.
Mine as well. My watch sync, it won't sync up.
Okay, so let me go to the App Store and look on Healy Watch and see if there's an update, because that's something of us need to know that have a watch. And I know there were some watch questions, and I've told several people that were sending me watch questions to go back to the other recordings. There's no update on that one. So if someone is on the call tonight that has a watch question, is there anything else on the agenda that we had talked about, Maria, before we go into questions?
Nope, we were just going to talk about maybe the service tickets, like things like this. I mean, I know people put in service tickets right away, but I think it might be prudent of all of us to not overwhelm customer service, that when something like this happens again, that we wait a good 24 hours to see if it is something that is on their end and it's a global thing, because this was a global thing opposed to just your device, and not assuming that it's just your device. Let it go for a little bit longer so we can see, because that'll say, think about, you know, if this was global and everybody put in a service ticket within the first 6 hours of getting some kind of an error, or they couldn't, and it really wasn't, it was a bug in the system that they needed to iron out because of the update. Think about how many service tickets there are right now that are out there in customer service land. So if you did put one in, what you can do is you can go into your back office and go to my support and click in there and then close that ticket, because then it'll just one less ticket that they have to look at. So if you or your team, I mean, spread the word. If you've put a ticket in because you couldn't get into your analysis or your residence app, Blue Dot app, and you put a ticket in, please go in, especially if this resolves it. Obviously, if this doesn't resolve it and it's an issue that needs to be addressed, keep your service ticket in there. But if it's resolved, please go in and close out that ticket and say that it's closed for them. Or they're never gonna catch up. That's the big thing.
Yeah. There's another thing, and y'all know by now I'm not a rule follower exactly, but there's another thing that comes up with questions that people ask me about, which I'm in the Blue app, so it made me think of this, you know, about putting the Healy in your right hand or your dominant hand, or using your right thumb or your left thumb to do the analysis. I mean, to me, that's a bunch of hogwash. There's a phone app that knows your right or left hand. It's like for people that need specific instructions. And I'm not trying to make fun of anybody. I'm just saying common sense is, if this thing is on the screen, and you know, why not use your dominant hand? But why not use your other hand if your dominant hand's busy?
And also on this, you could use a stylus, because like my son pointed out to me, and he's very techie, is like, Mom, there's a small copper screen underneath there. All that needs to happen is the screen needs to be initiated into the next task, which is to start the process and start the next process. I think it's beautiful that they put someone's thumbprint there, because I think it creates that intention of doing that for somebody, and you're sending that good energy. But at the same time, on that screen, you could still use a stylus. You could use something else that just agitates the screen to prompt it into its next task. So we can't get too overwhelmed with right, left hand, fingerprint, left fingerprint, thumb, index finger. I mean, we can't get too, let's try not to get too obsessive over it.
Yeah, not dominant hand. And the other thing is, you know, because the question comes up because of my dog, and everybody knows I talk about my dog all the time, but he doesn't have a hand to hold the Healy while I'm doing the, you know, capturing his vibration. So that's what I'm saying, get off of all those technicalities, because that's not making it work or not work. You know, so obviously my dog is not holding the Healy, and I get this question a lot, more than you would think. And I'm like, of course he's not holding it. I'm just holding it for him, or I'm not holding it at all. I'm just have it next to him. I capture the vibration. So I know that everybody is like very technically, like, I want to make sure I'm doing it perfectly. But the lean to is, if I don't do it perfectly, it's not working. And I want people to get kind of out of that mindset, because if you don't have to do everything perfect or it's not going to work. I don't know why people think that, but that's the go-to. If they see the black line, if they don't use the dominant hand, if someone else told them something, it's like, that's a bunch of hogwash, you know, like just, I would say try to be positive and bring in the positive intention that whatever you do is going to work. That's what I would say is more important.
And I also want to add to that, Gwen, that you have been working specifically in this field. I mean, the program that the New Vision platform that you use and helped, you either wrote it or you co-created it, I'm not sure, but you have been using that platform for how many years?
11.
11. And it's very, very similar, more expansive, but very similar to what we have here in the Healy as far as broadcasting information out to people. And so Gwen knows what she's talking about when she's talking about this specifically, because she has worked in this arena for many, many years, sometimes more than some of the time waiver people that, you know, that they're using similar technology. So I look at Gwen as a huge resource for information regarding this type of technology, because she's written it, she's done the program, she's written the trays, she has the program, you know, which all of us have access to if we want to join up and be a member of that. So this is kind of her baby. This is her realm of what she knows what she knows. So I would say, you know, when Gwen says, you know, really all you need is, you know, a photo and a name, that's really all you need. But I think it's great that Healy is allowing people to step in even more and be a little bit more proactive in the thought process, because Gwen's already there. She's already, when she's working with somebody, she's already, her intent is already to put her energy out to that person. But a lot of us maybe don't understand what that looks like. So Healy has come in and allowed us to have a really nice, a better way to pull all of our own resources together to create something, you know, that will be something similar. But I just feel like, you know, because I know there might be some people are going, oh, Gwen, you know, she's really, you're not really bashing it. You're just saying, please don't be obsessive about it, because it works.
Excuse me, I want to mention along this line, Gwen, thank you for saying that, because I've been doing this for over 10 years, closer to 15 years of people working on people all over the world. And I can assure you, when I got my Healy, I don't put it in my right hand. I think the important thing is to focus on who, or in many cases, animals and even plants and other entities. Focus on the person that you're thinking about. I have done enough of them already in the short time I've had the Healy, confirmation that people have gotten all kinds of conditions fixed, and dogs have been healed. In fact, I had a friend who brought her dog over last week, and I certainly didn't, and I didn't have to fingerprint him, and and many times I don't even know the names of people, and I have never, ever used a picture, and I can assure you that the right person gets the treatment. It's just an astonishing thing, but that's how the universe works, and people feel uncomfortable with it, but it does take a long, long time to psychologically get along with the fact that you don't have to be with the person that you're dealing with, and you certainly don't even have to know the person at all. So you can really just need to focus. That little dog, by the way, looks very much like the little dog I was working with. He came over and he had a fever, and by the time his owner got him home, he had no fever and he was doing great. So, and I have checked it on lots of other people that I know and people that I don't know. And I can assure you that you don't need any of all this stuff. You just need to be focusing. In many cases, I just know like my friend said to me, you know, would you work on my sister who's in the hospital? Well, of course, I don't know her sister, but she does. So I think about that, and sure enough, the sister was feeling better. So I want to acknowledge, Gwen, that it's actually, this stuff is a lot simpler than a lot of people want to make it out to be.
Very much so. Perfectly said.
And I totally agree with you. I think somehow it's becoming more complicated, and it really is simple, but we put a lot of, you know, I mean, I get it. People are new to this. They haven't been doing this for a long time, and then they hear 10 different people talk and we're all saying something slightly different. But what my answer to that is, work with it and see how you want to use it, and don't get tied up in the rules. Don't even get tied up in what I say. If, you know, you have to figure out what works for you. If the black line is there, go ahead and use it, see how you feel. Don't just assume it's not working. You know, the worst thing you can do is go to the negative, because, you know, I mentioned this in the workshop, but a great book is called The Intention Experiment by Lynn Taggart. And it's a very good book about how strong and important just the intention part is.
Absolutely.
That's like first step. So if we're doubting everything, if we're negative, if we're thinking this isn't going to work, or the black line's there, or did I use the right hand, or all this nonsense, then we're getting in the way of our own progress and our own healing. And thanks for Maria for what you said. That was so nice. But I want to just say one more thing about the progression of technology is that when I did get into this over 20 years ago, I mean, I've had my own technology for 11, but when I got into this 20 years ago, most of the equipment out there did require you to be hooked up somehow, you know, and that it was supposedly reading you. It was all fake. It wasn't really reading you. It was a random number generator technology. And you never had to be hooked up in the first place, but people 20 years ago couldn't accept this concept. And so for, I don't know, so 1990, well, really 1988 is when it, no, sorry, 2000, let me think about this. What year are we in, 20? Yeah, 1998 is when this kind of technology actually first came out. So it was a long time ago. And at first, you know, like I said, you had to have straps on, you had to have something on, you had to have your hand on a plate, you had to have some kind of connection. And then really about maybe 14, 15 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, technology came out that you didn't have to be hooked up or anything. Well, that was a major paradigm shift for people's brains.
Absolutely.
They were like, what? And even people in my own office, I hate to admit this, but when I went from equipment that I knew was basically an illusion, you had to be strapped up. When I went from the Skio to the core system, you didn't have to be hooked up, but I was still using my straps, like from a system that I wasn't even using anymore. Now I hate to admit this, but I did, because my clients were used to being hooked up to something. So it was just solved a lot of time with just giving an illusion that, okay, you're still hooked up to something. And I remember my boyfriend at the time, who knows about equipment, came in and he saw the straps, but he knew I was using newer technology. And he was like, he gave me that look like, what are you doing? And I was like, tell you later, you know. But it was because sometimes you have to work within the knowledge or what the client is willing to accept. I know the Blue Dot app is a lot for people to accept, because even though it's been around a long time, the technology, it's not that it's been common like Healy is now. So it is a major shift in the brain that this is even possible. But once people kind of know that this is not new, it's not, you know, it has been around for quite a while, at least 10 years, 12 years. Then you go, okay, it doesn't mean it's easy to understand. It just means it's not as new as what people think. So I think the best thing I can say is expect great results. That's the first part. Be positive, and don't let the little nuances bother you, and don't let them get in your way, because really that's our own blocks. It's our own emotional feelings that's getting in the way of our healing, because we're going to pick apart every little detail and think, well, something's not perfect, it's not working. And I would say that's absolutely not true. And the last lady, I don't know what her name is, that was just on, I totally agree with her. Your intention and your desire to help somebody and heal somebody is way stronger than if that strap is on your wrist right.
Absolutely.
That's like
I
such
also might want to mention that I never had any machines that I was working with the last 15 years. I was just doing energy work. And as you know, there's all kinds of energy work, and I'm sure you've done a lot of it for a long time. Everything from acupuncture to acupressure to Reiki to therapeutic touch, et cetera, chiropractic. But the thing that I think when you're talking about, I think that we have to recognize this, is that a lot of people feel they need some sort of a crutch. They need something to hold on to while they're trying to figure out how is this possible, because it just seems so astonishing, and it really is astonishing. And so, you know, it's kind of like the person who's learning how to swim and they're holding on to the side of the pool. They really feel like they have to hold on to the pool, and hopefully eventually they'll kind of experiment a little bit and they'll realize they don't really have to do that. And so they'll stop doing it. But I think that another big part of this is the fear, the real fear that people have that something bad is going to happen if they do this, you know, to someone, that something negative will occur. And they need a certain amount of time to realize that it's not negative and it's not really them that's doing the healing, because so many people have this thought that we're healers, and we're not healers. We are just facilitating things as an interface between our bodies and this wonderful energy that's willing to come in from the world and fix things if we ask them to. So I think that that's also a big part of it. People often don't talk about it. And I've had a lot of people say to me, you know, is this satanic? Or is this something that is somehow, you know, not of God? And I think that that particular line of paranoia is subsiding, but it's still out there.
Well, let me give you my answer to that, because that is one thing that annoys me to death. So first of all, I want to say that fear is also an intention. You know, when someone has all this fear about harming someone, that's a different type of intention, you know, so be careful of those feelings, because that's no different than a strong desire to help somebody, but in the wrong direction. But sometimes people ask me that same question too, about related to God or church or Christ or whatever. My response to that is, how is Facebook, you know, how do they feel about Facebook? What do you mean? Well, Facebook uses AI. Facebook uses bots and you know, kind of enhanced computer programming. How does pro football fit in with their religion? How would two people beating their head together on the football field, but they watch it and enjoy it? How does skydiving?
Do you have Siri? Do you have Alexa? Do you have other things that are monitoring you?
Now that's scary.
No, but it's true. They're all AI. So when someone is worried about Wi-Fi or AI or whatever, they're using these things every day, but they're not picking those things apart. Again, those to me are blocks. Those are people that are resistant to healing. So they're going to throw their religion at it. They're going to throw their negativity at it. They're going to throw everything in the book at it, but they're going to still live their lives using AI every day and other applications and not even consider how it's connected to the church or Christ, which is totally ridiculous for someone to question. You know, can you imagine, like someone told me this story one time and I totally agree with this. Can you imagine back in the day when x-rays first came out and someone said, you stand behind this thing and I'm going to be able to see inside of you? Can you imagine how many people thought that was some kind of satanic weird crap?
Yep.
Like, there's no way that someone thought that that was normal and not against God if you could see within somebody's body with a machine. So, and what do we think about x-rays now? Does question that an x-ray or CAT scan or MRI is anything that has anything to do with religion, good or bad? No. Maybe Christian Scientists, because they don't believe in medical stuff. But besides them, no one else is even questioning an MRI or a CAT scan or how someone can see inside your body and see the little bitty details. So I try to steer people away from that religion question. There's no basis of it except your desire to heal people, which I personally think is very godly. Your desire to help people and heal.
One thing I wanted to add to that was Nuno Nina. Gwen, you know him, you've met him before. And I think you took one of your classes.
Yeah.
And so he supposedly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he supposedly can look at someone and pretty much tell what frequency they need. And I kind of equate that to, okay, isn't that what Jesus did? He kind of could look at someone and discern what frequency, whether it was color or a word, a tone, an energy pattern, whatever he saw that that person needed, but then he could also deliver it. And so I kind of just, I go in this, I go in a bigger place with that, and I just go, I just would love to have Jesus standing in front of me so I could ask him what he would do with the Healy, and how we could do it on ourselves, because we just haven't been taught that we can. And Consuela, I think, was the one that was talking about that. It was like, she's been doing this for years. We've all been, prayer has been now scientifically proven that it works. I mean, we direct our intention and it works. And I'm a tangible girl. I like to be hooked up to a machine. I like to see it in progress. I like to hands-on feel it. But I have had so many demonstrations and validations of just energetic frequencies being sent out to somebody where they call me immediately and go, oh my gosh, did you just do something? I mean, my husband was on the way down to a dental appointment that he had to get to. It was 2 hours away, and he had to do it. That was the only time they were going to be able to do it. And he was literally having to stop every 15 minutes to vomit because he had something going on. I got on, Gwen's program. We didn't have the Healy at the time, but I got on Gwen's program and sent him a whole bunch of homeopathics for digestive upset. He called me about 4 minutes later. He says, what are you sending me? And I'm like, why? Are you okay? And he goes, I literally everything in my gut just went calm. And he was able to go through his entire dental appointment, drive all the way back home with no issues. So here I am, a tangible girl going, really? That really worked? And yet I've had so many validations to the fact that this does work. We just haven't been taught about it in this country, but other countries have been using this for a really long time. So.
Exactly. So just, should we get to questions now? I mean, these are all great topics, and hopefully they're helpful, because they're going to help you also respond to people that have these same questions or these same comments.
Yes.
Do we want to get into questions, or does
I actually copied, and I've highlighted the ones that I think we need to kind of go off of what we were talking about tonight, if you want me to start there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. This is from Julie. Gwen, I have a question about my watch. I only get it to stay on for an hour or so. We haven't been able to connect, so I'm not sure what's going on with the watch app, if that's something that's coinciding with this other bug. Not sure. Have you been having that happen at all to yours, Gwen?
No, but what I can say is that when you charge it, it's hard to say because I can't see everybody's hardware, but the thing is with the watch, and it's not obvious, that when you charge it, there's only one way to charge it. So that means you cannot put the watch in the USB either way. One way does not charge, and this also happened to me in the beginning, is I thought I was charging my watch, and I wasn't charging my watch. If you put it into the USB holder, you'll see after it takes a few seconds, it'll start looking like it's charging. It'll actually give you a visual of charging. If you do it the wrong way, absolutely nothing happens. So if you have a low charge and you put it in the USB the wrong direction, and there's nothing indicating what the right direction is until you see the screen come up, then I would try it the other way, but it should hold a charge. Mine holds a charge for, I would say it's about a week. I'm trying to think if it's longer than a week, maybe 7 to 10 days. And then I have to take the strap off and charge it. So it shouldn't just be an hour. And if you're 100% sure you're putting it on the USB charger correctly and you're seeing it charge and you've let it sit there for a few hours, I don't even know how long I let it charge. I usually put it on when I take it off to take a shower, and then it sits there until I remember to put it back on. But if that's the case, then I would put in a support ticket, because if it's charging and you're doing it correctly and it's only lasting an hour, then I think there's probably something wrong.
Before we go on to the next one, Suzanne, you had your hand up. Did you have a question about what we were talking about before, or a comment, or if you want to unmute yourself? Give her a couple more seconds to get to the phone. Suzanne. Okay, we can move on. She can jump on if she comes back. One of my customers is asking, is the watch waterproof? No, it's water resistant, but it's not waterproof. Oh, here's one. Are we able to use the Healy logo, or is there an official logo for us to use? What's really interesting is it took us a really long time to get Javier to say okay to everything we've done on the ATP 123 website. But what we did do is we just went into, I think Chris even Google searched. I still don't think that they sent her the logo information, you know, what she was really hoping for. So we just went on to Google and pulled the Healy logos off of what they've been using in their tools, the Healy site tools. But no, we have not to, but you can always contact Javier and see if you can get something from him. And if you do, please share. Okay, my Healy resonance device has been freezing for the past 2 days. Okay, I think we went into this. It's sort of been doing that. I asked for my email address, but I am asked for my email address and password, but it comes up with a message that says it's not able to connect. Okay, so that's kind of the issue we've all been having, I think. Let me see if there's anything else here. I tried to submit a ticket, but it does not show up as an open ticket regardless of how many times I enter my ticket. Yeah, put in your ticket once, Angela, and then don't do it again, and then just wait, because I think in the very beginning, we were not getting correspondence that they were receiving our trouble tickets, and then we were clicking it 3 and 4 and 50 times, and they were getting that on their end. So hopefully, hopefully this update will fix your issue, and if not, maybe just wait and see if something shows in your back office as far as your tickets that you have put in.
Okay. Also, Maria, I just want to say, on September 17th, I bought the nutrition app, and I'm sorry, I'll put my video on. Okay, so I paid for my nutrition app, but then when I went to upload the digital nutrition, that part of the app is grayed out, and I can't, no matter how many times I like try to upload the app again, you know, like delete it and upload it, the digital nutrition part never comes up. So
I think probably it's not been activated on their end yet then. So did you put a service ticket in for that you'd like your digital nutrition to be activated?
Yes, and actually it does say active. That's the other thing too. And they charged me on the 17th, so I'm not quite sure what the holdup is.
On the 17th.
Let me tell you what, let me answer that because it happened to me. Okay, so I got my apps, my apps showed up on my phone like they were working. I got my watch a week later, and I thought it was working, but it actually was like another week before everything was working and talking to each other. What I mean by that is, it was every time I'd go into the advisor app or the other app, every time it would go in, it would call me something different. Like, hi, Susan. Hi, Charlie. And I would kept going, why does it think I'm Charlie? You know, like, I didn't really know what was going on. And then I put in a support ticket, but I think it probably would have just happened anyway. I think that when you get the apps loaded or you download the apps and then you get the watch, that still doesn't mean they're actually active. And then all of a sudden I got, hi, Gwendolyn. And then I knew then it was working fine. So especially if you just got the apps, like there's some kind of, it's not automatic. Like just because you can get the app and just because you got your watch doesn't mean it's active. There's definitely does not mean that.
Okay. All right. So just give it a couple more days. I did put a ticket in, so.
And there is no phone number for any type of Healy service yet. I'm sure that there will be a customer service number in the future, but I would say not for a very long time.
Okay.
And when I want to ask you, when did you actually receive the physical watch?
I never got the watch. I just did the nutrition and the advisor, Healy, you know, yeah.
Okay, so how did you know when it was active? Like, did you just go get the app and then it wasn't working right? Or did you actually get some kind of acknowledgement that it was activated?
I went in my dashboard and I got the Healy advisor, and then I got also the digital nutrition app. So in my dashboard, under subscription, it gives me the it tells me that it's active. Actually, to tell you the truth, I tried to buy the subscription app like a week before several times, and it would just never take my credit card. So finally, I one day
I
it
know,
did. So
but listen, when you make the order, that doesn't mean it's active. Just because it's in your back office that you ordered it doesn't mean it's been activated.
okay, so just give it more time. Okay, no problem. I understand that part. So, so then all the free, I just want to just clarify one thing. So all the freezing and constantly asking me for my email address, login address, and not being able to get into my Blue app or my Pink app is all the problems that they were having them. So there's possibly, it's a good chance there's nothing wrong with my Healy. It's just the problems they were having then, right? So
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah, but that was only since last week. So those issues started about last Monday or Tuesday. So it depends on when your issues started.
Yeah, was it prior to that?
No, I about 2 days ago, I was trying to run some programs in the Pink Dot, and it was freezing, and then my screen would just go blank. That just started like 2 days ago, and then
I've heard that with other people too, that they'll be partway into a program and it just starts, or they'll be partway into broadcasting or vibrating to someone and it just stops. And that's
Right.
kind of where I've been with this watch. Is I would love to put in a service ticket, but I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to wait and see if the bugs with this whole Resonance app, the Blue Dot app, are somehow making some type of effect on my watch, since I'm hearing watch users all over the place having issues too. And maybe they know that there's a bug and they're working on that too. So I'm just not going to use the watch until I, find out that they haven't done anything, and then maybe I'll put in a service ticket. But I think that's kind of where we all have to be, is sort of in that place of, okay, maybe it's just this bug, but it sounds like that's what's going on with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes me feel better though.
Yeah, it does. It does. Me too. Okay, so someone's asking about the Vimeos. If you just Google Vimeo Healy, put that in your Google search, Vimeo Healy, you'll be able to come up with all kinds of different videos specifically under that platform. There are some on the ATP 123 website, but if you want to find something specifically, you can just Google Vimeo Healy and it'll pull up a lot of different ones for you. Any updates as to when we will be receiving wristbands for Healy? I have received my Healy 2 months ago and not the wristbands yet. I know that there are still some people in my downline that haven't received their wristbands, and they seem to be coming in randomly. So that's hard to say. I know that when we got Healy's, there was a piece of paper in it that said specifically that they would be sending out wristbands. I would say if you didn't get that piece of paper, I would go ahead and put in a service ticket, but there should have been just a copy paper, white, black, copy paper that said that they were sending wristbands out once they got them in stock. So
I would also say that some people, actually kind of a few people, had only one wristband in their box. And I told my people to put in a sport ticket because I didn't feel too confident that they were going to receive the other matching wristband for the one.
Well, and then I think, didn't Rick address that on a call? Saying yes, we understand that we gave people one wrist strap. So, but I haven't talked to any of those people to see if they got one or if they received one. I'm not sure. Do you know in your downline?
I haven't heard either, but I've heard people say that they still only have one, like they have never received one more or two, but that, I don't know if that's everybody. That's just like one or two people.
Okay. They need to have all of these things simply addressed and fixed. I still don't have my order. It's been 3.5 months. If you still haven't, if it's been 3.5 months and you still don't have your Healy, even if you've put in a support ticket, we need to get that escalated. So we have some means to do that. You can send your information to me. I will put my website or my email address in the chat. Don't send it to Gwen, because I'll go ahead and forward that to Chris so that we can get that updated for you. It sounds like we just need to escalate that issue for you. Could you post Gwen's email on ATP? No, I'm not going to post Gwen's email on ATP because she already gets 100 to 200 a day. And our ATP 123 has gone out to a nationwide platform. And I don't think she would appreciate that very much.
Yeah, no.
If I did that. So Gwen, I'm not going to do
Maria.
that to you. I got your back, girl.
Yeah, thanks. You just made me think of something else. Shoot, before you made me laugh. Something about, on the last promotion, I had ordered 2 additional Healys and I just received them. So that only took a few weeks. That doesn't make the person who's been waiting 3.5 months feel better. But another question I'm getting a lot is about the free Healys. It's already been announced on lots of platforms, including we've mentioned, that they said that there's a special team in Germany working on them, that the fast start really didn't finish until August 31st for a lot of people, and that those were going to be shipped. And I heard by the end of the month, but that's only another week from now. But I don't know if anyone's heard anything since that announcement was made, but no one, as far as I know, has actually received their free Healy. Maybe someone has, but the way Tammy made it sound was that a team just didn't even start working on it till now. And
see, and I've already received mine. So I received mine about 3 weeks ago. So I know
that's because you're special.
I must be special. I don't know. I don't know what happened with that one, but maybe because I was up till 10 o'clock on April 30th putting in my order.
Maybe.
I have, let's see, watch question just before beginning the week. I'm thinking that we answered that one.
I have another question, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
You talked about the tickets. I have been trying to put in a ticket for over a week. Every time I click on the place that you're supposed to do that on, the support thing, whatever, it never takes me to the
does it take you to your shop? Does it take you to your like the back end of your shop?
I can't, and I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, I've heard that that's been happening too. So if you go, I'm typing it in right now, support.us@healyworld.net. So that is, if you send an email instead of going into your back office, support.us@healyworld.net. That will get to the service. The nice thing about going through your back office to do it when it is working is that you have all the drop-down menus, so it gets to the right person. When you send it to support.us, you're basically sending it into the pool. And that's the hard part.
I thought it was sales.support.us.
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe I typed it wrong. Sales.support. Maybe it's the .us we don't have to have anymore. I'm sorry. Is there anybody on here that has done that recently? It's been a while for me.
I was still doing sales.support.us@healyworld.net.
Okay.
I didn't know
So
it changed.
Okay, so because I think the Healy or the US are, yeah, but I think you're right. I didn't put in the sales.
think,
I'm retyping it.
I think when you're in your back office and it sends you to shop, I believe you could, it logs you out just like we had that bug in the order process where it brings you back to shop. So I'm thinking that there's also then a drop down where you can log in. Well, first you go up to the blank, if it's a blank person there at the top,
right,
where your name should be. I think you can log in, or else a login will show on the screen. I did that the other day and that's what came up. So I think there is a workaround for getting into that support.
I do know that it has been glitchy though.
Yep.
Remember, we're all still in startup. 5 or 6 months ago, we didn't know Healy existed. So we just have to just be as patient as possible. And I know it's hard sometimes because it's really frustrating, especially when you've got people waiting and you've got people that you've brought in that are depending on you for information. So we totally understand that we're right there in those shoes with you. So we'll just keep plugging through together. Let's see if there's anything else that is necessary for us to talk to. We've got about 10 minutes left before it's 6, and then I'm going to have to jump off for another call.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. I got my Healy about, I think it was in August, but prior to that, I participated in a few of these calls. And during one, and this was before Gwen had my email and everything, so during that call, I think it was you, Marie, I'm not sure, mentioned you had a write-up of like what all the little faces meant on the pain module, like where it just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't know what they are.
Yes.
Somebody had written that up. I was wondering, could that be recirculated again? Because I wasn't able to get that.
Yes, and I actually, thank you for reminding me. I meant to put that up on the Healy editions, but on that particular screen, I'm trying to find it on mine right now. Gwen, do you have a picture of the pain and psyche or pain and local stimulation?
You mean pull it up on the app?
Pull it up, just pull it up on your phone.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just, I have to go back to show my screen. So hold on one second. And also just to answer the question, it's also in the program list. So that's one place that information is. Let me close these other things in the
Gwen,
background.
I haven't uninstalled my Blue app and reinstalled it. When you do that, is all your client info still there? Because it's in the cloud?
It is if you saved your master key and if you reload the same master key.
Okay, because Christina's asking that. So if you use the same master key, then your client list will still be there.
Okay, here's the pain screen. Can you see it?
So yeah, so if you look at the top left, number 1 is pain. He's in pain. Number 2 across from that it looks like it's just the spine, but that's really for just pain locally, because when you click on that, it'll give you all the places that you want to put your electrodes. So that's really just for pain in general. The number 3 is the tooth pain, jaw pain. Now, what we found, or what I found, is a lot of people have their vagus nerve shut off. And if it shows tooth and jaw, especially in their resonances, this is what you need. That could be why. It could be that you're in a state of fight or flight and releasing that jaw tension. They may not have any tooth pain, or there may be an infection there that's sort of sitting and unbeknownst to them if they have a high pain tolerance. So that's the tooth. The one across the way, number 4, is joint. So that's specifically if you have joint issues. And then when you click on that, it'll show you where to put your electrodes. So now number 5, 6, 7, and 8. Think of this as this little guy. Number 5, he's got some real severe head pain. So this is migraine. And I know they had to change this because they were using, for our FDA, they're using just diagnosis type or what am I trying to say? Disease states. So migraine, that's him. So on number 6, though, look at, he's laying down. See, his hair is going to the left there and he's kind of smiling. This is for insomnia. And then number 7, down bottom left, he's really, really sad. This is depression. And then number 8, see his mouth is quivery. He's very anxious, so anxiety. So in Europe, they call this pain and psyche. They don't call it pain and local stimulation. They call it pain and psyche because we can have pain because we are in different states of emotional upset, or we can have emotional upset because we're in different levels of pain. So they kind of go hand in hand in that realm. So if you kind of look at this little guy, you can sort of see what he's trying to tell you. But also, like Gwen said, it's also in the programs list. And then Teresa just posted it. I think
that's the best explanation, Maria, I've heard yet.
It's a little dude. I love that.
Yeah,
hello,
thank you.
I have a question. Hello?
Yep,
yes,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pretty new at this. I guess most of the issues would be to uninstall and reinstall the Healy, because my Healy won't turn off.
Okay, that means you need to close your app. That means that you're not closing the app properly.
Do you have an Android or do you have an iPhone?
I have an Android.
Okay, so on the bottom left, if you either have to swipe up or it's already there, do you see the 3 lines? If you click, you might have to swipe up to see the 3 lines in the bottom lower left. If you see that, click on that and it'll show you all the apps that are open. And then you can either swipe them closed or it'll give you a button that says close all.
Okay, also you said there's a tech class tonight on this?
No, but we might, well, I don't know. Gwen doesn't have an Android handy, so.
Yeah, I don't
You're
have
not-
an Android, so I cannot help you on this one. I know how to do it on an iPhone.
On an iPhone, you have to click the home button twice, and then you have to find your app and you have to swipe up. But when you, on an iPhone, when you just hit the home button once, it just takes you back to your home screen and you think you've closed the app, but you really haven't. On an Android, you can go back to the home screen. Again, you still have it running in the background. So that bottom left corner, there's 3 vertical lines. You need to find that, and then you click on that and it'll show all the apps that you have open. And then when you swipe closed, your Bluetooth will go off. If your Healy is still blinking, it means it's running a program. So you can either just press the off and on button, and that green light will go off, and now your Healy's off, or you just let the program run and it'll turn off. But that's how the Healy turns off. You have to swipe the app closed.
You know, I had it running last night and it froze up. Just
And
froze
that
up.
could have been before this upgrade, because that was happening to people.
Okay. Also, I was wondering on the time loss for the residents. I mean, and we're in the fast start. Do we get some of that time back?
They have in the past done some things like extended the fast start for everybody. I've heard some grumblings about, can they please just extend the fast start to 60 days, you know, instead of 30 days while they get caught up. I don't know that they will. I'm gonna err on the favor of no, they won't, just because I don't want to get your hopes up. But you also have to remember that, you know, none of us in the very beginning had our Healys for 3 or 4 weeks. And so we literally had to go off of, you know, the Facebook pages and people's testimonies about, you know, what the Healy did and how it worked. So it is possible to sell and to be in that place. You know, especially you just have to have a lot of trusting people that are ready for self-care. And that's how I pitched it. I'm like, people are ready for self-care. We got to get out of this, you know, what they consider to be healthcare in this country, which is just really sick care. And that's how I sold it, is
Thank you
people are
so
ready
much.
for, yeah. So I would say err on the side of no, they're not going to do that for you. If you need help with emails and stuff like that, getting stuff out to people, we can certainly help with that, just different ways of marketing. There is some of that on the ATP 123, but contact your upline. And if your upline isn't as versed or helpful, please seek other people out. That's the biggest thing, is we all need to help each other.
Thank you.
And also that's why I was doing the introduction to Healy calls on Wednesdays, because of all the delays, but the delays got kind of caught up. So that was a way for people to see the Healy without having a Healy. So you can also go back to any of those recordings and share those with other people. And one thing Maria said that doesn't apply to iPhone 11, which did apply to my older iPhone, is what she said with the home button. But on iPhone 11, you have to kind of do a hard swipe up to get to your background apps, and there is no home button. Yeah, it was pretty tricky for me at first.
Okay,
I had
good to know.
Lindsay show me how to do it. So there's no home button on the 11 or any version of the 11. So what we have to do is kind of a hard swipe up, and then what you'll see is all your background programs running, and then you just swipe them up individually to close the ones that you want.
Okay, so Dawn just said, I have an iPhone, but part of the glitch was that my Healy had to be manually shut off. Swiping did not shut it off. So Dawn, are you saying that swiping did not shut the Bluetooth off, or did not shut the green dot off? Because swiping will not shut the green dot off if you're running a program.
Right.
It'll just run through that program until it's done, whether it's 20 minutes or whether it's 60 minutes. It'll run it till it's done, and then it'll automatically shut off. Oh, she says both are working now, so maybe that was part of the glitch. Okay. Some of us waited 7 weeks for our Healy. Yes, my daughter got hers in 3 days. That has happened. I had somebody order it from Tucson on Tuesday, and they got it Thursday. So it's random. It's just a startup company. It's random. Eventually we'll get to a place where when you order it, you'll have it within the week. Everybody. And I kind of hope they don't do a sale anytime soon so that they can get caught up, even though we all love the sales. But really, after what I saw with the watch, even though I haven't been able to run it, what I saw with Gwen and what I saw with the watch is I really feel like if somebody can't come in with a resonance at that regular price, at that $23.57, if you were to talk to somebody about getting a holistic health or a holistic health plus, and then having the watch be able to scan your physical attributes, but then also get the watch bundle. So you have the digital nutrition. I think that is a good way to have that $1,500, $2,000 kind of combo unit that we kind of got used to selling, that price range, and then bump up to a resonance, especially in that first 30 days if they get the sales. So that's a way to have somebody not have to put out that $23.57 and get a watch bundle, but they can have the best of both worlds and then bump up in their fast start if they can.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good option.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have to get on your other call, Maria. We're going to do this again next week. So
we are. I think I got through all the basic questions. So please come back or email us if you have questions. I didn't have the person's name that needed escalation. Please email me at asklightlife@gmail.com and I will get you the information on how to get that escalated so that we can get a Healy in your hands. And if there's anybody on this call that they have people that have been waiting for a very long time, I mean, more than just a few weeks, please use my email and we've got some, we now have some avenues because we're such a big team. I guess we're a little bit more important. So we've gained the people above us are kind of taking notice of us. So we have some ins now that we can get some stuff escalated. So please do that, asklightlife@gmail.com. Anything else?
No, if you guys, what we're going to keep doing is when we get a bunch of questions during the week, that's going to drive what our topics are next week, so instead of answering a bunch of individual emails, we're trying to answer them because if one person has, or 10 people have these questions, so does a bunch of others. So when we get your emails, we're going to go by that to what, kind of guides us to the weekly calls, what can answer the most questions for the most people. So yeah, if someone has some special request or if you need some additional training on the apps or something else will help you, let us know, make suggestions for the Tuesday call, and that's what we'll cover.
Where are your replays for your calls?
That's the $1 million question. There is no place except for I send them out by email to the people on my email list.
And they're now on Gwen's Corner on the ATP 123 website under your business, video and webinars. And if you scroll down there, you'll see Gwen's Corner where she's got a lot of stuff there. It's not all of them, but I will keep adding as I find them. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to head out. Love you guys. And we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Maria. And thanks everybody for staying on with us this whole time. And we'll talk to you next week, and love you guys too.
Bye-bye now.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.